So if you can, considering of all this workloads running into this AWS end, okay, comparing to Azure, there is a with SQL standpoint of I'm saying, okay, it is 30 to 40% of the cost is going to incurring into the AWS end. Okay, that is the first fact. Okay, the other fact is now recently AWS is also giving the up end of um, inbuilt, bring your own license kind of thing into the AWS end. But when you compare it to this Azure end, okay, we have a lot of modules and features comparing to AWS. Okay, so we have in a single database, managed instance, Azure SQL VM. Okay, likewise, okay, if considering Azure SQL, basically we have geo replication, and and if you go for the Azure SQL managed instance, okay, we have failover cluster. Okay, so we have multiple options, and read replicas and all. But when you go for AWS and EC2 and RDS ends, okay, so EC2 is typically, this is infrastructure as a service. But when you go for the RDS, that much of capable is not you know SQL Server standpoint, what I want to say. Okay, and also the cost is going to. So for this both the regions, okay, both the reasons. So clients wants to migrate AWS to Azure. Okay, so few services. Okay, not for all, but still slowly he's going to move from all his workloads to the Azure, from AWS to Azure. But current situation is because of licensing factor, and the other factor would be the pricing factor. Okay, so default you have to pay for the hourly. Here is minute billing. Okay, that's what we just planned about the move some of database services which is currently running into the EC instances, that we are doing migration by using of the DMS service, and other native method as well we are going to use. Okay, but still we are keeping uh, RDS instance in the AWS only. So from the EC2 instance end, AWS is charging two things, right? One is for the SQL application, other is for the OS. Both the things he has to pay. In fact, okay, in Azure also you have to pay some same kind of approach. But the thing is that here the EC2 instance SQL Server 2012-14, we are just moving to this, SQL managed instance migration process. Okay, so that is basically we are doing from a site to site configuration, and then we just moving for directly SQL managed instance to migration process. Okay, anyhow we did this on-premises migration two databases initially, which we configured one database into the cloud landscape, other database connected to the on-premises. Okay, there is some slight performance issue we occurred, but now this sprint migration sprint, okay, we just moved from the two database we were here, and the testing is going on currently. Okay, so now let's jump into this our agenda. Okay, so what we just need to go and explore to deploy the Azure SQL. Okay, so okay. So if you could see this, okay, so this is pay as you go subscription currently I'm using. This is not a free trial one. Okay, so we would have to uh, pay monthly billing. Because of this session I just taken and the pay as you go subscription. Okay, so this is currently 339 rupees billing is charged. Okay, so let's see. All right, so what we're trying to do today, okay, so there is a simple slide. um, think we have to discuss before proceeding this Azure SQL. Okay, so all right. One concept. Okay, so uh yeah. Okay, so let's see here. There is a multiple options we can able to explore it here. Okay, I'm just going to do some all resources. Yeah, if you can see this, okay, there is a SQL servers and SQL virtual machines, SQL managers in Azure SQL, right? Hopefully this one we already deployed multiple times. Okay, so now this I'm just want to go and explore it SQL Server. Okay, this is not um it is not in a virtual one and not as a physical one. Okay, this is completely Microsoft is going to maintain the server. So for the SQL Server build which we required, basically we have some CPU, memory, hard disk. Okay, so this every layer it is going to maintain um, cloud end only. Okay, so we no need to bother about underlying hardware and the software related stuff. Entirely it is going to manage and maintain by the Microsoft only. Okay, so that's what every time you cannot able to go and think about it, the configuration and the deployment as well. Okay, so it is straightforward. Okay, no need to take uh, uh, buying of hardware components. Everything is maintained by the cloud vendor in a past perspective, platform as a service, wherever whether it is Google, AWS and GCP, okay, Alibaba, IBM cloud, whatever the cloud is there, you don't need to bother about the underlying hardware and the software component. That is
So,
completely
sir,
managing. Yeah.
how will it identify means which SQL server we have to select or which Windows server or Linux server we need to means we need? It will create just a database, no? SQL
Yeah.
database.
Now it will create the database, but to stay on the database, it's required the SQL Server itself, right? So that's what I'm saying. When you are creating the database, it is going to ask you to create the server as well. If you can see, there is a server prerequisite is required. Okay, for the pass module. Okay, so you don't have an option. Okay, version. Okay, so OS, either Linux or Windows. Okay, in a pass module you don't get that option. Okay, but for your question, Microsoft cloud is going to take the highest version of the latest version it is going to considering. Okay, so there is no lower version. So it is completely backend it is going to maintain. Whether they are maintaining into the Linux environment or the Windows environment, we are not we cannot able to see. Even that is not accessible. Okay, so you cannot create a single database. It is going to ask you the create part of database creation required server as well. Okay, so this server you can create during the database creation, or else okay, after, before also you can able to create. Okay, both the ways you can able to implement. Did you get my point?
Yes, sir.
Uh, Okay. So the one of the most important thing is, okay, still you are, if you have the subscription, Microsoft newly launched, want to use Azure SQL database for free, create a free serverless database with the first, 10,000 vCores seconds. Okay. You can, and the 32 GB of the data of the backup storage free per month. Okay, lifetime on this subscription. Okay, so actually to create and utilize this database itself, there is a charge. But last month Microsoft is launched to use this one. Okay, so when you are going to create, okay, so you can use for 10,000 seconds vCores, okay, and the 32 GB storage, uh, you can able to accommodate and utilize, okay. So at this moment I am not going to avail that option, that it is going to take some like what we call limitations there, okay. So but if you want to use, you can utilize to testing purpose, okay. But let's how the real time is going to happen, we'll go and we'll deploy that Azure SQL now, okay. So that's what my point here, okay. Now what I can do here, okay, so all the services, go to this database services side, okay, and then we can go for the Azure SQL, okay. So if you can click that Azure SQL, is basically we just saw there's a three flavors, we already discussed this one, okay. So we are in a phase of here, okay. So three flavors it is going to happening. Directly you can click it out, create a database, it is going to create the database, okay. Let's try to do this creating of the database, single database, okay. Now it is navigating to this option, whatever we just did, right? So let's put it out, the resource group and the subscription related stuff, okay. So demo RG I'm just going to take, okay. So urgent SQL AZ, UATDB, Azure UATDB, I'm just going to take, okay. This is my database. See here, now it is asking your, server. See, even on premises also, if you want to deploy, if you want to make a database, there is a server instance is required, right? Same like it is, there is some prerequisites here. Okay, if you have already the server is running, you can map that database to this particular server, okay. But at this moment I don't have my server, okay. So what is this server? This is an logical server, okay. Select the existing server or create a new server, the connection string and the credential will be the based on the server, okay. So this server, it's not like our physical or virtual machine, this is a logical server which is laying into the cloud data center end, okay. So whatever the region you are going to select, okay. So let's go and create here, okay. See that extension would be the database.windows.net, and here I want to give this agent Azure SQL SRV 001, okay. So normally how it is going to happen, okay. So this is the server name, okay. So Azure SQL Server 001, and we can keep this one any one of the region, okay. This region is, that is up to you guys, so which region you are going to select, okay. So when you are installing the SQL Server, we have the authentication methods, right? So use for the SQL authentication, both the SQL and the Microsoft, uh, and Entra authentication, and only for the Microsoft Entra authentication. So this is used for your domain account, okay. Both the SQL and the Microsoft Entra authentication, domain authentication, only can use for the SQL authentication. In my case, I'm going to use for the both the things here. Okay. So if you can see this, set Microsoft Entra account. Okay. It's a kind of, domain account which is currently having your account into the Azure subscription end. Okay. If not, you have to create and, add this here. So both, it's like Windows and the SQL authentication, whatever the option we have, that option it is going to show, okay. Just go to this users, if you want to add, you can add the users, and if you want to add the groups, I don't have any groups, but at this moment we can go for the groups here, okay. So I'll keep this one is a my Gmail account, okay. So I'll just go and selecting here, okay. So this is like my Entra login, okay. So by using of this account, I can able to log in. So by default, it will come with this, cloudpix gmail dot on microsoft.com. It will come. You can able to set as an admin here. Okay. Set as a admin here. So just set as admin and select that username over here. Okay. Or else this is the service account users is there. Okay. You can integrate this one. Okay. Compute, Bastion. So whatever the service account you can able to do, you can do. But typically in a enterprise level, we'll go for the users and the group for this specific deployment use case. And this is all about the Windows authentication. It's like in a Windows system. That's what set Microsoft intra admin. Okay, so I'll also do some SQL admin. This is my SQL authentication one. Provide your password. Okay. Okay. So the most important point is we just created the server. Okay, to map this UATDB, okay, over here. Okay, so we did. Okay, now this server got created. Okay, so we will discuss this one. Want to use this SQL elastic pools. So if you guys remember, when we were trying to deploy, there is a multiple options we explored it. See that, right? So I just want to show what is this option actually. Want to use the elastic pool. Okay, so workload environment, whether development and the production one, what exactly that is, you can see that. Okay, again I will go for the services. Okay, and as databases. Okay, all the services. Yeah, if you can see here, the SQL elastic pool one, SQL elastic pool one. So the same option it is going to give. What is the SQL elastic pool? Basically, it is cost effective resource utilization. Okay, so I'll explain it in details what exactly the elastic pool. Basically, it is going to share the resources. If you are building one server, one database, okay, it is dedicatedly accommodating for the CPU memory and all. Okay, so this is in a layman kind of terminology, but for this one we have the compute and the storage, we will call it as. Okay, I'll discuss the next point over here. Okay, we will discuss later. Let's keep this one no. And workload and whether we are going to use for the development and the production. Okay, if you are going to use for the production, this is going to change that service tiers and all. Okay, so this is basically the choose the SQL service tier, the performance level best suit for application needs. Okay, this is general purpose. So just let's keep this one development only. Go and create this storage. So to run your workloads, database, okay, it's required CPU memory, right? So to run the server also you require CPU memory. Okay, for this one we have came into the picture. Okay, service tier. So in the service tiers is basically we have two things. One is a database transaction unit and a DTU model. Okay, so the other one is vCore-based purchasing model. Let's discuss about the DTU purchase model. Okay, then after that we'll go for the vCore-based model. Okay, see, the simple thing was, okay, you have a database. To run the database, you require SQL Server instance. To run the SQL Server instance, you require CPU memory, right? But Microsoft standpoint of to make this accommodating these hardware components to this run SQL Server, they have divided into the service tiers. One is the vCore-based service model and the DTU service model. So what exactly the DTU service model is? Basically, we have three flavors again. One is the basic one, standard, and a premium. And also vCore also we have general purpose, hypercare, and the business critical. I'll tell you what exactly that each and every component. Okay, let's jump into this here. Okay, so DTU means database transaction unit. Okay, so normally this I have laptop boss. So this laptop to run we require CPU memory and the hardware, right? This CPU memory hardware component, okay, they are clubbed into this one bundle. Okay, so one combo pack. Okay, so instead of taking individual, they are make it as in one bundle, one combo. Okay, so let's say they are just measuring the DTU units. Like let's say if I'm going to considering any standard one, so it is going to come with this combination of with the combination of see this many DTUs, 10 DTUs, and the storage is you will get 250 GB. Okay, you will get this much of price. Okay, you will get this much of price. So you don't have specifically go and accommodate for the server CPU memory. So storage, CPU, memory, these three component, they are merged within a one single component as a DTU, like database transaction units. Okay, and you can map that one to build your server, this database transaction unit. Again, database transaction units, we have three flavors, like basic, standard, the premium. So basic one, it is very less amount of thing. Okay, so it is going to give you the only for 5 DTUs and 2 GB storage max to max. Okay, it's for it's like if you want to do some experimental or to deploy and do some practice, okay, it will give this much of configuration only. Okay, so if you can see this DTUs comparison, also we have some links over here. What it is going to exploring, we'll see that. Okay, so what is the DTU purchasing model and overall and all it is going to give. See here, the DTU database transaction unit, okay, memory, CPU, and storage amount. Okay, so all together it is in a one bundle thing. So that's what they are representing over here. So that EDTU related we will discuss tomorrow mostly. Okay, so how it is going to give some the service type, basically this is basic and standard, the premium is there, right? So the backups, it is 10 years backups, it is there. CPU is a very low, and IOPS is a 1 to 4 IOPS. Okay, and the latency is a 5 minutes latency, and column store index is not there, in memory it is not there. If you go and choose that in a standard edition, it is going to give the uptime of SLA 99, and you can choose this 35 days of retention period, whereas it is only having 7 days retention period and a 10 years long-term retention, and a low and medium environment, like if you have the development test QA environment, you can able to use this one. Again, here 1 to 4 OAPs per DTU. Okay, and here is a 5 minutes, okay, read, and 10 minutes of the write, and the S3 is the standard higher version. If you go for the premium one, okay, it's not 20, more than 25 IOPS for the DTU, and 2 milliseconds here. Okay, here is a 5 millisecond, here also 5 millisecond, but here is a 2 milliseconds. So column store indexes it is going to support, OLTP memory it is going to. So the higher DTU service, it is going to give the more future. The lower DTU service, it is going to give some less future. Okay, it's like our postpaid plan. Like if you are going to take the basic one, it is a limited, and premium it is going to give all the things. So same like here also, they are